Hey, friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to WrestleJuice. So AEW WrestleDream is in the book. Another long show from AEW, maybe signifying monthly $50 pay-per-views. We're going to take a look at your hot takes about AEW WrestleDream. I tell you what, guys, let me tell you something. I've been trying to think of a different new approach to doing pay-per-view coverage here at WrestleJuice, given that I already do it in podcast form and I already do it in star rating form over at the Friendo Club Wrestling channel. I want to do something new and fresh over here at WrestleJuice. So I was like, hey, why not reach out to you guys and let me know what your hot takes are on the AEW WrestleDream pay-per-view, and I like a lot of what you guys are putting out there. It's good stuff for conversation. So I figured we'll go ahead and try that for WrestleDream. Maybe we'll try it again for Fastlane next week, and we'll see how you guys like it. Let's go ahead and start with this. It was the most liked comment on the WrestleJuice thread for hot takes for WrestleDream. Here it is from Johnny Byrne. He says, no wrestling show should ever get near hitting the midnight mark. It's just way too much and ruins the overall impression of watching a show live. So this was a sentiment that a lot of you had, and clearly 24 likes on this particular comment. A lot of people feeling the same way. I know somebody else had said something along the lines of $50 a month, 12 of these every year is just too much. You're sort of pricing out your fan base, and that remains to be seen. It'll be interesting to see if Tony Khan kind of sidesteps the whole question of, hey, is this a good idea for your fan base? Adding essentially another $50 bill to their pockets, because that's what 12 months. It's $600 a month that they're paying, as opposed to $600 a year they're paying, as opposed to $200 a year they're paying just to get a pay-per-view. And you're obviously at this point loading it up with what could be considered filler. Let's face it, a couple of these matches really didn't need to be on the pay-per-view, but it feels like Tony Khan is putting them there to justify the $50 price tag. Let's, for example, talk about Ricky Starks versus Wheeler Yuta. Is that a match that really needed to be on a pay-per-view? I don't think so. Any of the pre-show matches, did they need to be on a pay-per-view type situation? Yes, those were free, so maybe we don't even count those. The Fatal 4-Way for the number one contendership for the tag titles. Did that need to be on a pay-per-view? Aussie Open is a tag team that's actually lost 2 high-profile matches recently. Did that match with FTR need to be on a pay-per-view? Probably not. There were 10 of them and only one women's match. These pay-per-views are going to need to feel like must-see, because it won't be too long before people are going to be thinking, we don't really need these. Is Tony Khan taking advantage of the fan base by asking them for $50 a month every single month on these pay-per-views? I think that they're going to be going monthly. I think this is the start of that. He just hasn't said as such, and I don't know if he'll ever make an actual official announcement, because that will be drawing attention to the idea that I'm going to be charging you guys $50 a month now. We'll see. Next up from Luis says, we need to see new matchups in AEW. Nothing inherently wrong with FTR versus the Young Bucks 4, but can we see Lucha Bros versus Aussie Open or other fun matchups for titles? Same with the TNT Championship. So the Young Bucks booked themselves to win the Fatal 4-Way number one contendership match. Didn't see that one coming. But I guess the idea is, we gave the third win to the FTRs over at Wembley. Now we're going into LA. We're going to get the fourth win, or we're going to get the fourth match and the titles in our sort of neck of the woods. I guess that was the trade-off for losing at Wembley, because obviously the Young Bucks and FTR, they sort of want to be considered like the two, like 1A, 1B, or 1 and 1, or 1 and A, or whatever, as the top 2 tag teams. Yeah, I'll be honest, I was kind of surprised that it was going to be Young Bucks versus FTR. I figured it'd be Orange Cassidy and Hook winning that match. But I take the point here. New matchups in AEW. I don't think they have too much of a problem with that. But yeah, I could see in the specific case of the Young Bucks, maybe we want a different matchup. Money 13 says they should have given 1 or 2 of the matches a stipulation to juice them up a little bit more. It would have made the pay-per-view feel a little bigger and added some excitement. Example, make the 4-way tag match a ladder match, or give FTR versus Aussie Open some sort of stipulation, since it wasn't their first time facing one another. That's actually a really good point. I like that. If you want to make them feel like matches that are more than just something you would see on Collision or Dynamite, maybe add a stipulation. I wouldn't be against that. I still feel like the pay-per-view shouldn't be running as long as they are. But again, I guess Tony Khan is simply trying to justify people paying $50, so they should get wrestling. I'm more of the opinion, give us a good 3.5 hour long pay-per-view, and people be pretty happy about that. I didn't watch the pre-show, so that helped as well. I wonder if a lot of the people complaining might have actually watched the pre-show as well. Let's see here. What else is there? What is this one here? Santiago K says, I actually like when old ex-WWE wrestlers who can still go like Edge, Christian, and Punk join AEW, and Tony gives them a big role in the show. I need him to take it a step further and make Dynamite the show that completely centers around guys from the 2000s, while Rampage and Collision can stay the same with current stars and Matt Hardy. Why would Matt Hardy be there with all the young stars? Yeah, I don't like that idea either. But I don't know. I kind of understand. AEW is in sort of a WCW position right now. When you've done everything you can do in WWE, you shift over to AEW, make a bunch more money, and get a pro wrestling tee shop. And then you can work with people you haven't worked with before, and a bunch of young people who will eventually go to WWE. Callum Shannon says 12 of these marathon events a year is a horrible idea. I don't know about a horrible idea, but again, you're kind of pricing out your fan base here, aren't you? Let's see here. What else? Here we go. Chili Chad Thornton says Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson was 5 times the match that Okada versus Danielson was. I like that his name is Branson Danson. Yeah, I love this match. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was better than Okada Danielson by far. I thought it was better than anything. This might actually be Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson. Probably going to get my match of the year. Probably that last 10 minutes was some of the best wrestling I might have ever seen in my life. It was that good. It was really amazing. I'm glad he brought that one up. Dr. Dirty Legs says a few banger matches buried under an elevated TV program does not make for a $50 pay-per-view every month. Hard to argue with that one. Let's see here. Chili Chad Thornton also says, since we aren't allowed to call him Edge anymore, he shouldn't have his exact WWE entrance. I sort of disagree with that one. Look, I get it. The guy has built a career, 25 years in WWE. He has built that career, and he understands that people expect a certain thing from him. That's why he picked up the Rated R Superstar trademark. He still has that sort of R logo on the t-shirt. He still has the Metalingus. Look, it's what's going to pop the crowd. Not everything has to be creative indulgence. You can do certain things just to get that crowd reaction. I am a fan of his entrance. I say keep the entrance. Otherwise, I don't know. It wouldn't have been. It's not Edge. It's Adam Copeland, but it's the same thing. You know what I mean? I get it. I'm cool with the entrance. Andrew Sharp says hot take: FTR matches have turned into break time matches. Their matches / character work is predictable and repetitive. They're booked so boringly strong and feel so forgettable at this point. I kind of disagree with that take. I think if you look at the Briscoe brothers matches that they had last year, those are really good matches. I think when they have something that is a feud that just doesn't really have a lot of steam behind it, yeah, they do follow a particular pattern and their character work doesn't exactly vary. And I think that might have hurt this match that happened at WrestleDream. But that being said, when they have an opponent that they really can sink their teeth into the creative behind the match, I think they still can be one of the best tag teams on the planet. I think their matches are still really good. Oh, here's an interesting one from Ant Price. Says, I didn't like the You Think You Know Him. Of course, they had to re-record the You Think You Know Me, and they changed it to You Think You Know Him. Says Metalingus was awesome, but a new sting at the beginning would have hit harder. Yeah. I don't know what that could have been, but yeah, it's such a minor part of it, but I understand that it's sort of an important part of it. I wonder if you have any suggestions as to what you would have had that have been. It's not my name anymore. Something like that. I don't know. Here we go. The video vignette before Adam Copeland came out was unnecessary and killed the pop. Do you guys agree with this? Because I kind of get that too. I'll be honest with you. The feature presentation thing, which Sami Callihan had used in Impact, I feel like that was unnecessary. And I feel like the video itself wasn't as interesting to warrant being there. There was nothing visually that was all that interesting about it. And it didn't really build a story. So I'd say like maybe a video package could have worked there. But yeah, lights go down, just the thing, or the you think you know him, whatever. Like, go straight into that. You don't need the video package. I kind of agree with this, but I think maybe if the video vignette was cooler, it could have worked. It could have helped add to it, but I don't think it really added to anything here. Here's one I definitely agree with. Heel Heat says, not so much of a hot take, but a real criticism. Where were the women? I don't need 50-50, but give me more than one match and a mixed tag on the pre-show. Tony Storm is doing some of the best work in AEW and should have had some sort of presence. I agree with this. I don't know what he is. Tony Khan he is so stubborn when it comes to, I'm just going to book one women's match per event. Whether it's a Rampage, whether it's a Collision, whether it's a Dynamite, they get one match and that's it. Clearly, he feels that they are not worth the effort. They are not worth the time, and they're there as an obligation. I'm telling you, within a couple of years, the women are going to be flocking away from AEW unless he changes that. He's not going to be able to pick up good talent that for any long period of time. I think Mercedes Moné might do an appearance deal there where she shows up to work a couple of dream matches, then she goes and leaves and probably goes back to WWE. But yeah, I agree with that, man. I think it's really disappointing, and it doesn't seem like that's changing anytime soon. They always get one match. They never get more than 10 minutes, and that's just how Tony Khan feels about the women's matches. And if he's ever asked about it, he always goes on, oh, we've got the best women's division, and they're terrific. We're not saying they're not. We're saying you don't use them. So we've got two more here that talk about tribalism. First from Big Mike. He says, the tribalists crying, Edge is ruining his legacy by being in AEW. Need to grow up and see these guys don't see things as they do. I saw a couple comments like this in the chat last night during the live stream. People saying he's ruining his legacy by going to AEW. I don't even know what that means. I really don't. I think it's really silly. I think that his legacy is intact. I think Adam Copeland, the person, seems like a really good guy, so I don't suspect any sort of outside the ring or backstage shenanigans is going to ruin his legacy. He said he's going there to help the younger generation, to have more matches, to have some more dream matches. He's living his best life. How in any way possible is this ruining his legacy? AEW is a legit promotion that a lot of people love, they have a lot of hardcore fans. I don't see this as anything close to ruining his legacy. In fact, I think at the end of the day, he might enhance his legacy. I don't think anybody would look at what Christian did going to AEW and say, oh, he's ruining his legacy. He's like one of the best things they've got going right now. I think that's really, really silly. And then this one here, Curse Talk says, tribalism in wrestling isn't as bad as people say it is. It's normal to be more passionate and want one company to do better than another. It's only toxic when people take it too far. I'll go one further. I kind of feel like tribalism is overstated as well because it mainly exists on social media, which is a thing that you can curate. You can mute words. You can mute phrases. You can mute people. You can block people. You can take the tribalism out of your social media experience if you simply take a little bit of time and do that. If you choose not to pay attention to the tribalism will not exist in your life. You can simply enjoy what you want to enjoy. If you're engaging in the tribalism, if you're being toxic about it, maybe just don't. Maybe just stop, because it's really just kind of stupid. So yeah, but I don't really think it's all that bad. I think like the tribalism in like football, for example, where people are in the stands like punching each other out. That's probably a lot worse than what's going on in wrestling. But yeah, anyways, people should be free to enjoy what they want to enjoy, complain about what they want to complain, as long as they're not too weird or toxic about it. Look, we all know there's a line you shouldn't cross. And I feel like we should be adults enough to know where that line is, right? Right. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought about WrestleDream in the comments below. Drop your hot takes there. And until next time, do you like this thing right here? Figure like it's a little bit of community involvement. You know, it's like you guys get to have your stuff said on the show and I get to talk about it. It's a win-win. Anyways, hit that subscribe button and like button. We'll see you guys around.